explained, at least examined, that what happened that night at, I think it was the MGM, right?
Yes.
And after the fight, what instigated the events and the timeline. So we'll have witnesses that will go through that whole
We
timeline.
anticipate reviewing everything. I mean, it's fair to say we're fairly new to this, and this is fairly early on in the game. So obviously this is going to be a developing topic.
Well, and so this is another sort of assumption, is the beating of Orlando Anderson, was that in fact what precipitated the shooting? I mean, that's an assumption. I mean, obviously, you know, the state wants to prove that, and that is mentioned in the book Compton Street Legend, but there are other potential motives that are mentioned in there, some of which are contradictory and conflicting. So, you know, if we're looking at that book, and if we're looking at those statements, I mean, we really have to look at the credibility of those statements and then say, well, you know, there's a jury instruction that says, if you find that a witness has lied about something that is significant, that you can toss out everything that they said. So, you know, if we were to apply that here, if you toss out those statements, you know, considering, I mean, that they may be contradictory to certain facts, that they may be contradictory to each other, then what do we have, you know? And can we prove that there were 4 guys even in that white Cadillac? Can we prove that they're the ones that everyone?
Maybe they bring Suge Knight in. He was in the car.
Maybe so.
He knows also what happened at the MGM.
So we may see him.
We'll have to wait and see. Exactly. That's a meritorious point. So.
Is there anyone else who you would have your eye on as far as who you'd be going up to the stand?
Again, this is going to be a work in process. We're at the very beginning of this, and we've got 5 months to develop the facts how we intend to present them.
Well, if you want something interesting, in the book Compton Street Legend, and this may be something that, you know, obviously we have to investigate, but Foxy Brown is mentioned. I mean, you know, have you heard this? I mean, if, you know, and we haven't, oh, you do?
I don't know like that, no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you could give her, okay. All right, you can't put us in contact with her?
No.
No? Okay.
No, she doesn't want to be reached.
Well, you see, and that's, and here's my point about that, right? You know, if potential parties don't want to be reached, you know, that's a difficulty for the state, not necessarily for us. We don't have, you know, we don't have to present the case. We didn't bring the case.
Okay. 5 months, you know, in lawyer speak, that's kind of like 5 minutes, you know. So I know you guys have a whole bunch of other cases to prepare for. Could we see this case being pushed back to give you guys more time, or are you guys confident that you'll have 5 months and be able to be successful in this case?
We anticipate being ready on February 9th. Obviously, there can be unforeseen circumstances, but as we sit here today, we anticipate going forward on February 9th.
And, you know, obviously that's a moving target, so maybe, you know, as the case develops, you know, at closer to the end of the year, I mean, we might, that can evolve, you know. But, you know, 5 months can be a short amount of time. It can also be an eternity. I mean, is if you're willing to put the effort in, and we are.
Sorry, I'm just going to come to the point of Foxy Brown. Actually, we were the ones who broke that story, that the prosecution have tried to reach out to her, given that would solidify their case. If what Keffe had written in Compton Street Legend was correct, then that would put him in Las Vegas on the night at the time he denies it. Would Foxy Brown be potentially the bombshell witness for either you or the prosecution?
Potentially. You want to speak to that? It's again, it's a work in progress, and we'll see where the evidence leads.
you know, I could say I'd definitely be willing to talk to her and see what she has to say. If anybody wants to pass my number along.
Best of luck getting hold of it.
No Lil Kim? No, I'm just kidding.
If there's a way to tie her in, I'd be happy to talk to her as well.
So if I may, sorry, gentlemen, James Desborough, I've been covering this for the US Sun, and I've interviewed RJ, plenty of the family, both sides. I just wondered, obviously, in the most respectful way, one of the interesting things is Keffe has had financial issues raising bail. He had a public defender before, and Carl Arnold, and with you guys, the notion of a financial compensation for this. There was a story, I believe, circulated. I don't know factually that it's accurate. There's a documentary coming along with this to financially cover your fees. Could you just cover that off so that we know the full picture?
I don't have any knowledge of that, and I'm not in a position to speak as to that.
And in terms of how Keffe's paying for his defence, if I may ask?
We've been retained, and outside of that, I'm not going to speak on that subject.
Thank you.
I know that you guys said that you guys want a better working relationship with the media. Is that coming from a not so good relationship with the media? Where does that stem from?
I would say out of necessity. I mean, you know, we see certain of the sort of standard narrative that's out there, and you know, we're not, again, you know, we're not trying the case in the media, and so a lot of, you know, what you hear us doing is sort of challenging certain of the assumptions, because you know, when those assumptions are not challenged in a certain way, the state's narrative can kind of be accepted as a foregone conclusion, and we just want to point out that that's not necessarily the case, and you know, to give us a shot to show what we're going to show, and you know, to actually take this to trial, you know, where we believe that we're going to win. So.
I mean, your own client has described this, quote unquote, as the biggest case in Las Vegas history. Given that statement, may I ask about your emotions and sentiments about covering, quote unquote, the biggest case in Las Vegas history?
We're looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
We're looking forward to the trial. We're looking forward to the process. We're looking forward to face the jury and to address the issues that the state brings up and how to rebut them.
And if I may, Keffe himself, I mean, we know he's had a few health problems.
He has.
His family has been forthright with me about that. How is he doing both emotionally and medically, given that he's obviously spoken about his medical conditions?
I know he's got a great deal of medical conditions. Obviously, they've been exacerbated being in custody. He wants this trial to proceed in February as well.
I can tell you this, when Mr. Draskovich and I went to get his signature on the document that would allow us to be his attorney, he was smiling ear to ear.
I'd like to go back to the question about documentary and fees. Is there, what's the status? I mean, it was a big issue last year when there was a bail hearing. What's the status of any media deals that Davis is making?
I know of none.
So you haven't been involved. Have either of you been involved in negotiating any sort of media arrangement that's going to make Davis money?
No.
No.
Okay. And you're not aware of any?
I'm unaware of any.
Okay.
I'm sorry to follow up on that point, but it's interesting because obviously this was discussed perhaps 2 years ago in relation specifically to Michael Jackson's lawyer. That's how he raised the funds to pay for his legal representation in his manslaughter trial. So, I mean, obviously while you're not currently aware of it, or you're not currently in negotiations or have no contract, is it something you would consider in the long term?
Obviously, that's a bridge that we could cross when we came upon it, but as of this point in time, there is no bridge to come upon.
Thanks.
Anything else you'd like us to know?
Oh, I think you've covered it. Yeah. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. All right. We don't anticipate this being the first time that we speak to you, but again, we just wanted to start out and introduce ourselves.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Sorry, when is the next time that you you guys will be in court?
I know he has a sentencing coming up on that other matter which we're not involved in. We'll be filing several pretrial motions that need to be filed. These are issues that need to be brought up pretrial, so we anticipate that happening in the very near future.
Who will be handling the battery sentencing?
I believe it's a current attorney on that case. will
Arnold?
be. Yes.
Okay. Great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So sorry I'm late. I had just drove up from LA. I was at the Netflix thing last night with Cowboys. How are you? How you doing? Yeah, well, no.